Night football in what was a terrible game but an extraordinary conversation. Here we go, Orlovsky. Baker Mayfield and the Browns taking on Jimmy G and the 49ers. Take over the game.
Listen, I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. Stop blocking defensive ends with tight ends. Nick Bosa was given that sack.
Bosa getting the pressure, and you see Sherman with the pick as a result, and now Baker Mayfield is again. He's struggling. He's running. He's getting hit, and the ball is coming out. Mayfield would turn it over twice in the first 4 possessions of this game. But here's where the game completely turns. Second quarter, Browns have a drive going. They're down 14-3, but they're in the scoring area. They have a chance to get right back in the game, and that ball should be caught.
And Green, it's a 14-point swing, really. And to your point, this ball should be caught. Down in the red zone, the ideal ball is low to go protect the receiver, and the ball won't get tipped up in the air. Is it a perfect throw? No. But in the NFL, that should be caught 99 out of 100 times.
Instead, the Niners score a touchdown on the ensuing drive, and now they're in business. Final seconds of the half. That's Mayfield this time getting an intentional grounding on another great pass rush from Nick Bosa, who's had his way with the Browns offensive line. And then, do you recognize the celebration from Nick Bosa? Remember, he played at Ohio State. We all can understand. We'll explain a little later if you don't. Meanwhile, fourth quarter, it's 28-3, and Bosa still bringing the heat.
This is the story of the game. Nick Bosa's coming out party to the national audience. If you single him up last night, he was going to wear out whatever tackle he was against.
Why was he the second pick in the draft? Oh, yeah, that's why. 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 5 quarterback hits, and a fumble recovery. And then, just to add insult to injury, late in the fourth quarter, game is hopelessly out of reach. You're down 25 points. Odell Beckham, he's going to have it in one hand. Then he's going to have it in the other hand. And then it's going to wind up on the ground. This is the kind of night it was for the Browns. Baker Mayfield, 8 of 22 for 100 yards, 2 picks, 4 sacks. Odell Beckham completed a 20-yard pass and had a higher QBR in the game. This was a disaster of epic proportion for Cleveland.
You can't have mistakes. You can't have, turnovers. You can't have drops. You can't have penalties. That's offensively, that kind of summed us up, We just shot ourselves in the foot too many times.
I'm not hitting the panic button. I think for us, it's just, we know the problem. We know we have to, be better. We just have to do better. And when you play a great team, you have to eliminate mistakes. You just have to.
Listen, I mean, the numbers are stark, but you just heard Baker Mayfield say he's not hitting the panic button. Swagoo, are you?
Yep, I am. Listen, the revolving door, the roller coaster ride per se. A week ago, we talked about this team against the Ravens. Had they found something, Nick Chubb went off. They were able to be multiple offensively. Now they resort right back to what we thought their issues were before that game. And here's what is the identity of this team? All right, well, number one, we're talking about Baker Mayfield. What type of quarterback is he? You guys know I'm on record. I think Baker Mayfield is just a middle-of-the-pack guy, right? So if he is that, what are you going to do to support him? And that's Freddie Kitchens' job, is to support Baker Mayfield. If you have an offensive line that can't hold up, you got to call plays to protect your offensive line. The job of the coach. So, look, as much as people rail on Baker, and, I don't want to say I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield. I just thought a lot of overhyping was going on when he was coming out in the draft and what people talked about with him doing last year. But you look at this team, they got real issues all over the place. Defense got ran through by the San Francisco 49ers. Couldn't protect because of Nick Bosa. And then Baker Mayfield, obviously just not a guy to raise that level of play when you bad around him.
Dan, I have so many questions, but the first I want to ask you is, we can see how bad this was. How much of this is on the quarterback?
Listen, if we think that it's just Baker Mayfield, we're crazy, right? Marcus just laid out a bunch of things. So first of all, this team is the best team in the NFL at beating themselves with turnovers, with penalties, with drops and missed tackles. Baker Mayfield's not blocking defensive ends one-on-one with tight ends. Baker Mayfield's not dropping some of these passes. Baker Mayfield's not asking these tackles to block really good pass rushers one-on-one. So he's part of the problem, absolutely. But to Marcus's point, this team, and it starts from their coach down. I want to talk about when Baker goes at the podium, because it just hit me. We know our problem. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Because you wouldn't be calling games like this. You don't know your problem because you wouldn't consistently, week after week, or it seems like week after week, expose the weakest part of your football team.
Which is what?
Their offensive line.
So what is their problem? Listen, this doesn't get any easier for them, right? They played a team yesterday that had 15 days of rest. Next week, they get a team that played last Thursday, and they themselves are on a short week. There is no benefit here for Cleveland. What do they have to fix?
You know, I told you how hard it is to win in this league. People think it's hard to win in the NFL. And all the talk about Cleveland and what they were going to do, I get all of that. I get all of that. But right now, Freddie Kitchens is trying to identify how do I best progress this team to be successful. Well, one problem is when you got $100 million receiver on the roster, at some point, he got to be a staple. And I know people going to say, well, Odell missed 2 passes. Odell Beckham is at his best when he's involved highly in your offense. He makes quarterbacks look better than they really are. Second of all, when you start talking about the offensive line, Freddie Kitchens ain't just found out his offensive line bad. He knew Nick Bosa and this defensive line with Armstead and all of the D Ford that they could rush the passer. Nobody's shocking anybody anymore. Like, we about to be in week 6 in the NFL. You pretty much who you are, or you finding out a lot about who you're going to be.
And there's a reality to that. The NFL stands for a lot of things, but it is a what have you done for me lately league. And as much as I love the Browns and Baker, eventually, last year is not going to matter anymore. Eventually, it's going to become, what are you doing right now with your play?
Maybe the best news they have is that no one in the division looks ready to run away, so they have some time to get it figured out. We will come back to the Browns in about 20 minutes. Meanwhile, let's give some credit where it's due to the 49ers. Our FPI, our analytics, our nerds say they're the best team in the NFC, and they're the last unbeaten in the NFC. And boy, Nick Bosa was a big part of the reason why last night, as you look at how good they were. Bosa getting the pressure, and that forces the interception here by Richard Sherman. Sherman having himself a big night there, making the play. And in the second quarter, Mayfield's going to go back to throw, and here comes Bosa again.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the potential of this defensive line totally changing the face of this organization and football team. And last night, they put everybody on notice because of national television how legit they are. And then they got their offense going a little bit. Like, listen, George Kittle, again, he almost had a little bit of a coming out party for the rest of the country. This is a very complete football team.
Richard Sherman, let's talk.
You don't worry about it. You want idiots to sound like idiots, but you want them to hold their position the whole year. Like, don't flip flop with us. Like if you said we weren't gonna make it, you said we were some way early on, just stick with that position. Hold it. Don't try to give us credit now. Don't try to give us credit now. Just stick. If you had us ranked 25, keep us ranked 25. If you had us going home early, if you had us going 3 and whatever, have us going 3 and whatever. You know what I mean? At least stick by your word, because I want you to sound like an idiot at the end.
What? You like that?
Well, listen, I love Sherm, obviously a highly intellectual kid, but guy. This is a team that was coming off a season when they had 7 turnovers as a football team. They drafted a guy, Nick Bosa, out of Ohio State, that I had some scouts tell me he was going to be amazing. Some scouts tell me he was going to be okay. He got injury. Jimmy Garoppolo was coming off an ACL. So, give the national people who might have thought you might just be okay a little bit of a break on that.
It's a long season. I'm telling you.
Are you buying into the 49ers? Are you buying them as the best team in the NFC?
No. I think the Green Bay Packers are the best team.
I'll buy San Francisco.
Yeah.
They have.
Are they the best team in their division?
Right now, yeah.
Yes.
Seattle's very good as well. They're in the conversation.
San Francisco, to me, is the best team in that division.
Listen, the fact that they're in that conversation speaks volumes, right? We're a month into the season. But for me, San Francisco has a functional identity on both sides of the football. And it's reliable. We were just talking about the Browns going, we don't know who they are, 1 week good, 1 week bad. This team has a reliable identity week after week.
As funny as it sounds, the highest paid guy on this roster may be their liability. That's the thing, Garoppolo. That's the thing we don't know yet, is when he is pressed into those moments when he's going to have to throw the ball 40 or 50 times, because that game is coming. Can he do it and sustain what they need to be?
2 things to that. I believe in the coach so much that he will mask some of what might be that with Jimmy G. And then the question becomes this now. What teams in the NFC, offensive line-wise, can match up against what we saw to be a dominant D-line?
How many games has he started to this point?
14.
His whole career, 14. He hasn't even started one NFL season's worth of games.
And I think he's 12-2 or something like that.
The numbers are pretty good. Okay, we will have much more on Monday Night Football and the rest of your NFL picture as we go. But postseason baseball, let's go.
Yeah, we had the Twins serving as the Bee Gees as we bring in Mark Teixeira, trying to stay alive.